Okay, well, I guess if the recording's in progress, we ought to actually start. It's uh it's great. I'm glad that somebody came. You're always sitting there wondering, like, is anybody going to be interested? Will anybody pay attention? So, um, we'll go ahead and get started in a minute, but I'm not sure that I have met everybody. So let's go ahead and, if you don't mind, introduce yourself. Feel free to turn on your audio and video if you want to. Uh, but I'm Randy Fay. I'm one of the maintainers of the DDEV projects, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy with every computer I get to use, but Windows has gotten to where it is just a fine place to work in these recent years with WSL2 improving, a fine place for web and developers and that kind of thing. So, although I probably am on Mac more often, and although I am a true blue Linux lover, I'm pretty appreciative of Windows these days with WSL2. So we'll take a look at that today. And anyway, I am here in Palisade, Colorado, where it's a little drizzly this morning in the western Rockies of the United States, kind of in the middle of the country. And I'm hoping this afternoon we have a mountain bike ride planned, so I'm hoping that it's all done with this and not muddy by this afternoon. So it's about 8 o'clock in the morning here. And I know it's about 4 in the afternoon in Italy. Stas, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Stas Zhuk. I'm a commentator of DDEV. From Kremenchuk, Ukraine. And as for Windows and WSL, I used to use Windows in my early programming days, and it was WSL1. And then I switched to Linux, and I stay on Linux. And I don't know if I'm going to switch to anything else, but if there was WSL2 at the current state like it is now 5 years ago, then I probably would stay on Windows because it's really, really nice these days.
I hope you have power today. Or
Yeah, it's actually, I got it 5 minutes ago.
the Russians keep bombing the the hydro plant, right, in Kremenchuk, and that's causing you and everybody around you plenty of trouble.
Yeah, they attack not only us, but also other parts of the country, and it affects us all.
Well, we're glad that you can be here. And uh, Elias, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hello, I'm Elias. I'm from Greece, Rhodos, the island of Rhodos. I just found the meeting by accident, so I thought I could join. I'm working with Drupal and I'm working with WSL too. So it's a fine opportunity to see what's here.
Very good. Are you already you're already fully Windows and fully WSL2 and you're using DDEV?
Yeah. It's actually the way we work in our project. So we used to be directly with Docker. At some point, we were thinking of reusing any other prefixed environment, let's say, but the DDEV came out at the very proper time. So we went with it, and I've also integrated in all my other projects that I used to have in Drupal. Um, Yeah, and it's really I always it's more or less the same story with me that at some point I went to Linux. I was using Ubuntu because it was like I mean the terminal is amazing. You cannot compare it to Windows Windows terminal, and but it was always because I'm also a bit of a gamer, so it was always a problem for me to stay in Linux. And I didn't want to have dual boots, but and when WSL came on, I thought like, okay, that's very well made, even though it had a lot of bugs at the time, but it was very well made. The performance was quite good, and yeah. So since then, I'm on Windows, and now we are also on DDEV, which is amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that's working for you. I imagine that today we'll see who all is here, but I imagine that the collective expertise here about Windows will end up with us talking more about your experience instead of how to. But we'll take a look, and I can talk a little bit about how the trouble I had getting ready for today because my machine had been messed up, and we found a weakness in DDEV's integration with mirrored mode on WSL when I started setting up again. Okay, Besson, go ahead and introduce yourself. I can't believe you follow me on Strava. If you can, if you can. Can't use the mic. Okay, Ricardo, great. Thank you very much. Sorry that you can't use the mic. We're going on one of those desert rides today, so I'll try to give you some pictures. We're going up on the cliffs above Palisade, a place called Stagecoach. It's lovely. Hikas, are you able to introduce yourself? Are you able to use the mic? It's okay if you can't. Ricardo, um, are you using WSL2 and already an expert at it? I should ask you in the chat. Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, you use Docker Desktop. Um, mostly Docker Desktop is the same experience as Docker CE. But Docker CE, of course, is open source, and I usually recommend it. I usually think it's a little more stable than Docker Desktop for a few reasons. It's a simpler and more open source arrangement, but uh, for people that Docker Desktop works for, that's great. And Selwyn showed up. Introduce yourself, Selwyn, if you can.
Hey everyone, Selman here. I'm the guy who wrote Drupal at Your Fingertips. Always a big supporter of DDEV. Hey Randy and Stas.
Are you are you using Windows or are you a Mac guy?
I'm a Mac guy, but
Yeah.
I do have I have a couple of Windows machines, so always try to keep my fingers in all the pots.
Yeah, yeah, that's me too. I just the reason that I have both computers is it lets me work in all the different environments to support people, of course. And I find that if I work on Windows for a couple of weeks every so often, then I'm more familiar when people come along. And
Yeah.
of course, I did have I did have quite a lot of trouble getting ready for this with Xdebug, which I is not my usual experience. I rarely have any trouble with Xdebug with Windows, but we had, well, I'll talk about it a little later and what the complexity was and why. So, Well, that's everybody, right? Everybody that's able to, um, yeah, Ricardo, the install is much easier now with the Windows installer. It does all the things for you, and you just run it, and it's like a 10-minute install. But you're working away on Docker Desktop, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just responding to your comment that Docker Desktop was an easier install at the time that you installed it. So, well, let's do this pretty informally since um, everybody here but Selwyn, this is their ordinary thing. And so what I'd like to do is I think kind of change it up. I think I will do the install with the Windows installer and just to show how that works. So I'll create a new distro and do it with the Windows installer, and we'll get that going all the way through, just so that we're all in the same ballpark. But feel free to speak up anytime about anything in your experience or that you want to talk about. That's fine. And if I miss something in the chat because I'm not paying attention, um, Stas, you can point it out if you would. So. Okay, well, let me just share my screen then, and we'll just do, uh, I'm going to share everything. And
Sorry, Randy, just to clarify though, you're saying that you don't usually use Docker Desktop on Windows?
no, I
What I
use
do.
Docker CE. So I'll show you the
Yeah, okay.
DDEV fully supports both.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. What were you going to say?
That's it. I was just trying to clarify what which you installed there. So Docker Desktop or Docker CE.
Yeah, yeah. So I prefer Docker CE, but the experience with them is about the same, except that there's some complexity that happens. Let's see if I can get rid of this. There's some complexity that happens um, with when you use Docker Desktop that is annoying. I'll show that to you in just a second. I'm trying to get rid of the piece of Zoom that I can't get out of the way. So hang on just a second. Let me see if I can be successful here. Ah, got it. Okay, that's better. Okay, so first of all, Windows Terminal is absolutely fantastic, and I've got a PowerShell here going. If you're on Windows and you're not using Windows Terminal for both PowerShell and Git Bash and for WSL2, oh, it is so great. Um, so, and I imagine you use iTerm on Mac.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I've used the Windows Terminal on the Windows. It's
Yeah, with the right settings on Windows Terminal, it is as good as iTerm. It might
nice.
even be better. It's amazing after all those years of really lousy terminal experiences on Windows. Now it's all good, and even Git Bash has a special setting on a new install to install itself into Windows Terminal. So it's really, really nice. So I am not going to install WSL, but I think all of you know what that installation process is. It's a one-time setup and it's pretty easy. But I'm going to install a new distro. So I'm going to do WSL dash dash install. And you don't even have to say Ubuntu anymore. Dash dash name DDEV. So I'm going to make a new Ubuntu is the default, so I'm going to make a new Ubuntu distro, and it grabs it. You can make as many of these as you want for experimentation, and it works out. It works out just fine. So this is a brand new, fresh Ubuntu distro named DDEV that we're going to use. And it always wants to call me Randy. So there it is. It's working fine. We have our 2404 Ubuntu set up there. You'll notice that it did one thing that's kind of strange here. It landed us in the Windows home directory, which is really something that we wish it wouldn't do, because it confuses people and they'll install DDEV there and use DDEV there. But for reasonable performance on Windows, you need to be in the Linux home directory, which will be /home/something. And that's on the Windows, on the Linux file system. The Windows file system is optimized for like 34 gigabyte Microsoft Word files and that kind of thing. And it's not optimized for 80,000 tiny files that are in a modern Composer install. So we want everything to be in the home there. So I'll exit out of that. And now we see that we have the DDEV one running. And now I am going to run the Windows installer. Let me grab I'll just download the installer, or maybe I already have it. So I'm going to get the 1.24.10 installer and run that. You can see this, right? The setup.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my three choices that I have are WSL2 with Docker CE or with Docker Desktop or Rancher Desktop or traditional Windows. And my usual preference is the Docker CE. So here we are, and I'm going to choose the DDEV distro, the one that I just created. And it does install just a couple of files into the Windows side on this one. So we'll let it do that. I'm going to click Show Details so we can see what it's doing while it's installing there. It does the apt things that it needs to do in there, installing the Docker repositories and the DDEV repositories and the required other things. So this is doing the same process. Until a few months ago, we had a relatively complex PowerShell script that you had to run to do this. And this installer now goes through those same processes. And our hope is that that will make it work for everybody with less, more of a Windows-friendly experience. Because we know that WSL2 and apt and all those things are often unfamiliar to people from the Windows background, and we want to make it as easy as we can. We can't solve all of the things, but that's it. So now that's done, and I'm going to kill off my terminal here and relaunch it because it automatically got that new setup in there. So now I've got the new DDEV profile for that. So I go in here and it launches it, and it launches Docker. Docker's all set up. Everything is set there, and now I got the latest stable of DDEV. I'm going to make a I'm going to make a Drupal project named X. And so I'm going to say, and I will just do a DDEV composer create Drupal recommended project. That automatically starts the thing. Oh, I should have said create project, and it caught me on that. It's still in my fingers. So it's going to pull the images right now. That's a one-time pull. So we should have that taken care of pretty well. I skipped the DDEV start because DDEV Composer Create project does that for us. So there we have we have everything pulled now, and we should be close to getting started.
And can you show while it's pulling everything how to open the directory of this project in Explorer?
That's a good point. Yeah, let's do that. And we will open it from PHP Storm too, which is the same process. But let's do that. So a lot of times people do have trouble with understanding how you get to this directory where we're working here. And so if I go to Windows Explorer, you go down to the bottom here and you see it has under Linux, it has DDEV and it has Ubuntu and it has Docker Desktop, which we would never go into its file system. But if we go into DDEV and we go into Home, RFA, Workspace, X, that's the one that we are working with. And I can actually put that on the favorites. Let me see if I can get that onto the favorites. Move pin to quick access, I think is what I want here. Let's see. I don't think I did the right thing because I already, oh, there's my X there. So now that's pinned on my quick access so I can get to it very easily. So there it is. And that's the same thing that we'll do. That's the same thing that we'll do later when we open it from PHP Storm. Thank you for mentioning that, Stas. DDEV composer required drush. And we'll install the system with the drush technique. You can see that I have done that a lot of times. It's kind of my standard go-to way to test something. The Drupal path is in my fingertips, and so I just know what to do there. And I should be set now. When this gets done, I should be able to just do a DDEV launch. And let's see how we do here. So there it is. We're in there. Everything's set up. We can log in, and we have all the things that we expect to be working. The status report says that we are okay, we hope. We got PHP 8.3 there. Will be 8.4 as the default here in a few weeks or a month or two or whatever. When we get the next major release, we'll have different defaults for new projects. So there we are. We went through in just a few minutes from scratch we created an Ubuntu distro named DDEV. Then we used the installer on it, and then we did a DDEV Composer Create project on it. And that's we're at the point that we are able to work on this project. Um, Git is here. Um, all the normal things that we expect are here so that we can get to work on our project. Um, and we'll take a look at Xdebug in a second. And after that, we can talk about some of the complexities that can happen. Today, I'm working with WSL2 in mirrored mode, which is the up and coming preferred WSL2 technique. The other mode is called NAT, and the mirrored mode lets all of the ports in your distro be shared with the Windows side, so you don't have a bunch of theoretically you don't have a bunch of complexity in the network setup. My own experience is that you still have a lot of complexity in the network setup. Any questions about what we just did, or comments, or things that you would do differently in that process?
Can you explain why we need to work inside home of WSL2 but not on disk C or D?
Yeah, so if I go to/mount C users, Randy, um, I have oh, look, it's a 9P, it says. It's a 9P database type. That's actually the NTFS file system there. And if I create a project here, which I could do, and it will work, it's just slow beyond belief. So so what happens is this is like a network file system. So when I'm on there, which is not my home directory, so I don't know why they land you there on first install, but that NTFS file system is built for big files, um, optimized for big files, and not optimized for a gazillion tiny files. And it's on a network. It's essentially a network mount. So it's not a direct mount. So when I go to the home directory, this is an ext4 native Linux file system, which is great with this situation. So that's the difference. Did that answer your question, Stas? Your poke there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's we have this periodically in the support in Discord. People will come in and say, "Well, I installed it on WSL2 and it's so slow. Why is it slow?" And the docs are very, very clear, but as we all know, nobody reads the docs. Um, do you think we should probably complain about that on DDEV start, Stas? Do you think we
Mm,
should look at the file system type and say, "Hey, it's WSL2 and you are in the wrong place."
yeah, yeah. This sounds like a good idea.
That'll save that once every 2 or 3 weeks experience that somebody has about their. I think that'll be a good idea. Um, Any other comments about your experience with WSL2? I bet you that all of you, when you installed WSL2, it was before we had the installer, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while.
Yeah. It's it's easier now. We do have a little bit of trouble with people in a corporate environment where they don't have admin. So if they don't have admin, it's a little painful, and we don't know of a workaround. So if they get a different account that has administrator privileges, then um, ap- apparently WSL2 distros are per user. They are not global to the Windows system. So if they create a distro using a different administrative user, it's not available to their user, so it doesn't solve all the problems. So that's on our agenda to see if we can propose a workaround. It's one of those things that's so complicated, and it's hard for us dealing with people that are in odd um, lockdown environments because we don't know our way around too. So feel free to speak up anytime about anything. We'll try here PHP Storm. So and we'll do VS Code as well. So I'm going to just run PHP Storm here, and I'm going to open up that project. And my PHP Storm already has the DDEV extension in it, so that helps us. So I am going to say open a new one, and I'm just going to navigate it to it the exact way that we just did. Now you see I pinned it, so it's here waiting for me, but I'm just going to go through the process of looking for it um, anyway. So here's DDEV here, and I'm going to say home RFA workspace X, and that's what I want. But I could, since I pinned it, I could have just clicked X up there. So the pinning is really a nice feature. So there's my new project there's my new project in PHP Storm, and it detected DDEV already. Here's the Defender prompt. I'm going to say exclude, and it'll do that. And you see, because we have the PHP Storm DDEV extension in here, it already updated the PHP interpreter for us. So that's good. Everybody's happy here. Should be happy.
What was the Defender part, Randy?
That is PHP Storm warning you that Windows Defender, the default Windows firewall, might be blocking some access on your WSL2. And
Oh,
so JetBrains is happily fixing that for us.
nice.
What's interesting is that I have the firewall turned off right now because of the pain that I had earlier this week. So, okay. So I'm going to click that. Let's go then into Explore here, and we'll just go into index.php, and I will just put a breakpoint here, and I'll say start listening. And now I should be able to go back here and do DDEV debug on. And now if I load that project, I should let it finish indexing first because I'll let PHP Storm finish indexing here before we go too much farther. We're listening. We've got Xdebug turned on. Come on, hurry up. Okay, there we go. And I should be able to just go back to the status report and reload, and it should have popped up, and I don't see it. It's not. It looks like it didn't. It looks like it didn't work. No, it's
Something's happening clearly. Go back to
some,
PHP Storm because
yeah.
if you open the debug window at the bottom, you may find it has stopped. It just stopped somewhere else.
Oh, good point. How come it wouldn't be popped up to me though?
Oh, you could never. It's so unpredictable, frankly.
I see that my
Can
bar
you
here is messed
can
up too.
can
So
you try?
gateway timed out.
Yeah,
Let's,
can you try something else? Go to your PHP Storm.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think PHP
there I
Storm is
am.
probably sitting there.
It's not, go to your settings. So on the top left, the burger menu.
Okay. Had to go to
Uh, and
Settings.
settings,
yeah.
and then go to PHP, debug, and set your max simultaneous connections to 9.
Okay.
So there is a, can you try now?
Yeah.
And you can even set to break in the first line just to verify that it works
Yeah,
for
let's do
sure.
that. Let's do that.
You might
So
also look at servers, right? See if it's defined any servers here.
no,
Well,
the servers don't play a part on the debug itself. But it so rarely happens that Drupal fires more than one sub process at the time. And so if there are more than 3 that you just saw in the settings, it means that there are more than 3 processes that are trying to connect. And so all of them are waiting each other until one times out, and then you get a complete timeout anyway.
it's waiting for it, but PHP Storm is not waiting for it. Let's just I did this fine yesterday, of course. That's the way live demos go, right?
It's the demo magic.
Oh, do I have I was wondering if I had VS Code running. That would cause interesting behavior.
Hmm.
So it's doing the gateway timeout. It's sitting there trying to, oh, let's go debug it and see if we understand what's going on from that perspective. Oh, look, okay, there it is. Off and on. There. Okay, come on, hurry up.
Don't rush me. Don't rush me. I want to go slow. It's early in the morning, or it's late at night.
While we're waiting for that, I'm going to go to I'm going to do a DDEV SSH here, and I'm going to telnet host.docker.internal 9003 and see if it connects. And it doesn't, and that's why we're having trouble here. So um, this is, oh, this actually may be because, so I probably just bit myself. I had to make changes. Shoot, I'm sorry. I had to make changes for this machine when using mirrored mode in a new PR. And so this machine has interfaces that aren't compatible with detecting the correct host.docker.internal version. So um, I fixed that this week just so that we could get around that um, in a PR. And so I'll tell you what the scoop was and what happened there and why I'm failing right now is because I use the latest stable, which my machine is a little screwed up on a variety of things. So I use the latest stable, and that was not a great idea for a demo. So if I go to DDEV PRs, um, this PR is open here for us to um, use mirrored mode and detect correctly the correct IP address. And so what I will do is I'm just going to get the Linux AMD 64 and update that in uh, in my let's see if we can make it work.
We can also use Windows installer again.
Yeah. You think that's the better way to go? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do the Windows installer again.
Is it possible
And
that since that you already have the dev in another distro in WSL, and since you just installed one, you have another one running and it affected your host file?
I was worried about that, but none of this does anything with the host file. Um, I would, well, Docker Desktop does things with the host file, but and the Ubuntu distro is running, and it wasn't supposed to be, and so that actually could be related here. But let's do let me show you what actually happened here with the mirrored mode while we're getting that. What we were doing was this script. We were doing a script that said, find the first IP address in PowerShell that isn't a 169 and isn't localhost. And what we actually need is to find the one that is the default route. And so that's what this PR does.
Hmm.
So let's go then to downloads and do what Stas said and just run the installer with the new version. And this will complain, I believe, because the PR versions of this aren't signed. The ones on head and the ones on releases are signed. Let's see how we do here. I should have been smarter than to do that. Now we have a newer version of DDEV, and theoretically, if I do a DDEV power off and a DDEV start, this will get a different host.docker.internal. You see, it was using 5.28 here. Well, it's
What
good
was
learning and good testing for me anyway.
what was the
Um,
telnet command that you used?
yeah,
Just
so when one of the first testing things in the docs when you're having any kind of trouble with Xdebug is to see, can I make a connection to the IDE that's listening? and the IDE is listening on the Windows side on port 9003.
Right.
And so the very first thing we do is, and I'm just old school, and so I use Telnet because it's usually available for everything. And inside the web container, I do a connect to host.docker.internal port 9003.
Host.docker.internal and then just 9003.
Yeah, 9003 is the default Xdebug port these days. Because you have to remember that the way this works is that the IDE is listening on 9003 and Xdebug calls out to the IDE. So let's just do this. Um, so if this connects, then it means that our IDE is listening, or something else is, but usually it's our IDE. If this connects, then we have the right thing going on. It connected, it's fine. It got the right IP address, and now things will work.
So how
Um,
did you know it's the right IP address? Just because
oh,
of a response?
it's because I got a response. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
And this should apply to non-Windows, right? This should work on
it
other.
it's
Okay.
everywhere. It's everywhere. It's more likely to be a problem on Windows because the firewall often gets itself set in there and preventing access because Windows is a more Windows with WSL2 is a more complex environment. Um, it's more likely to happen on Windows, but the debugging steps are exactly the same.
Okay. I'm going to add that to my documentation.
Yeah, and
Debugging Xdebug.
link into the
Link into the.
link into the docs because the troubleshooting DDEV troubleshooting docs have that. So,
Okay.
but I'm not solved here. And I don't know why I'm not solved. Um,
My first step would be to delete the server in PHP Storm at this point.
oh, here we are. We finally got it.
Hey, rock and roll.
Yeah. So there we are. Maybe I was a little, oh, you know what happened? I was confused. We set it to stop at the first line,
Yeah,
and I was looking for it to stop at the break point. And so my eyes just looked wrong.
that would do it.
It worked perfectly. I was just looking for the blue thing to be at the break point.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're good. These days with the PHP Storm working so well, we don't usually have to muck with the server because um, because the PHP Storm extension has done it for us correctly. But that certainly would have been my practice in the past for sure. Let's go ahead and do it with let's go ahead and do it with VS Code. So with VS Code, what we want to do is run VS Code from inside the distro. Yeah, I didn't want you to be there. I don't know what you are, but I don't want you. So if I go to code dot, that's the best way to launch VS Code. And it puts a server in there that is a proxy and it works pretty nicely. It's very simple. It sets up everything that you need. Um, Although I think we do still have to install, um, here we have to still install the PHP debugger. Let's see, are you ready yet? So now I want to create a launch.json file, um, install extension. I want the PHP one. This PHP debug is the one that I want. No, it isn't. This is one of the problems. It's this one that I want. No, that's not it either. Where is it? It's this one here. This one was kind of grayed out because it's not installed. It's installed on the Windows side, but it's not installed in this WSL distro. But you definitely want to get the one that's from xdebug.org. And so now to debug, we have to create a launch.json file and for PHP. And what we want is the one that's in the DDEV docs. By the way, the VS Code extension does this for you. IDE setup and VS Code. And we want the listen for xdebug snippet. And I'm going to take out these pre-launch tasks. Those are nice, but we don't really need them. And with the extension, you don't have to do that. It does it for you. So now I should be able to do the right thing here. Listen for xdebug. And I always have trouble with this. There we go. Now, when the orange thing is working on the bottom, we're listening. And I should be able to go to the index.php and have the same things work. And let's see if it works. There it is. It stopped for us. So we have it working on both of the IDEs here. With the modest amount, it's a little bit of difficulty because I was in mirrored mode and didn't have the PR-based update for it. But we got through it and we made it work. So that's what we wanted. And if you can, anytime you can do an install of everything from scratch and have Xdebug working on two different IDEs in an hour, you're not
It's a
doing
good
too
day.
bad.
Can I ask you a wrinkly question?
Wrinkling.
Yeah, wrinkly.
I'm already wrinkly.
No, sorry.
You don't need to wrinkle me anymore.
I'm sorry, Randy. Okay. Um, so what I often have to do is debug drush commands. And so I'm curious if you finish this and just in your terminal run like a drush CR and see if it breaks.
Let's,
Any reason you can think it shouldn't?
um, yeah, this actually is,
It does normally work out of the box though.
Okay.
so
Okay.
it,
You have to fiddle.
we have to turn on. So let's look at the docs on this. If you search for drush, you immediately get drush and xdebug.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is have the drush allow xdebug equals one environment variable. And the way I would do that is I would put it in .env or elsewhere. But let's just put it here. We'll put it in the web environment. And it's drush allow xdebug. It would just do a restart to pull that in. We're going to pull that in completely into the web environment. And I think that's all that we have to do here. And theoretically, it should work. Any other, I know we're at the end of our time. I appreciate everybody coming, but any other questions or thoughts or anything else on this whole topic while we're still here?
Just want to say that if you compare Docker CE and Docker Desktop, Docker CE it's less resources, so it's weaker in my opinion. And but Docker Desktop has GUI, but you need to learn how to use terminal with Docker CE.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Docker CE as well. The other thing that about Docker Desktop is Docker Desktop injects itself into your WSL distro. It actually makes changes to the links in your distro, making all of the Docker commands and the Docker context. It actually changes them on the fly, and that's something you configure in that world, but well, for somebody that is working with multiple distros all the time, I really don't appreciate it going in and fiddling with that stuff. So
Yeah.
let's see if it works now. Oh, it says it timed out. Why did it time out?
That was awfully
Because I'm
quick.
not listening. Why was I not listening anymore? Nope. Did we do everything the way we should have?
Of course we did.
Drush
Oh,
allow X debug, right?
yep.
And that's all that we should have to do, right? Oh, but it maybe it doesn't run the index.php.
Uh, try a DDEV brush CST.
Drush ST.
DDEV drush CST. I was at config status.
Yeah, you can run it from
I'm
the host
inside the
machine.
container, so
Oh,
it should
you're
be the
inside it.
same.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Didn't
Hmm.
do that, but let's set a breakpoint in Drush so that we have the right thing there. So if we go into, do you use PHP Storm,
Yeah.
Selwyn? Yeah.
Yeah.
I struggle with VS Code, but everybody loves it.
Yeah, me too. I tried to love it, but I couldn't love it.
I want to love it because people love it, but I just have so much JetBrains in my history, and I use Goland and like it best, you know. So I want to look at vendor bin. I could just do this, right? That's drush.php. That should be run, right?
You'd think.
Yep, that's it. It's perfect.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So I didn't have a breakpoint in the right place, but we were doing all the right things.
I'm surprised index.php doesn't run, but cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
That's easy.
surprised too.
Couldn't be easier. Used to be a lot harder.
But you still do have to remember that since Drush 13, I guess, is where it was introduced, came out. Um, so
You have
it's
to you have to remember what?
you have to remember about the environment variable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have to answer that question about once a month as well. I don't know of any way that we can prevent that issue from happening. Somebody suggested that we turn that on automatically, but then you have Drush stopping unpredictably because somebody had a breakpoint set that they didn't remember. I think we have to let people handle that themselves.
Mm.
Well, good job. Any thoughts? We're always happy to hear how you think DDEV can grow up and do things better or make these things easier for people. We're always really happy to hear about that. And we're happy to hear about how it can do Windows better. Windows, we have these like 6 different permutations now with traditional Windows that we still support and Docker Desktop and Docker CE, and now add to that the mirroring support, which really changed everything, and bit me today. So, but hopefully we'll have those working in the we'll have that working for mirrored mode in the next release. And the problem that I had was that my machine, we did some experimenting on, and it ended up with a bunch of network interfaces that were confusing the previous naive search for the correct IP address was inadequate. So that was the big stop that we had. Okay, well, I'm happy to discuss anything or hang around about anything else, but I sure appreciate your coming, and it was fun to work through this with you, and always happy to hear what your experience is.
Thanks, Randy. It's really interesting to
Thank
see
you.
the latest and greatest.
Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks so much.
Cheers.